Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 15. In this lesson, we're going to look at dates and the math methods in Python. My name is Mildred. In Python, we have something we call modules, where we have a file containing definitions and statements, function classes, variables, and codes that we can import into another project. And we use those functions and those definitions in a new project. For instance, we want to create a date in Python. We have a module called datetime, like this. The datetime module holds the functions and the definitions and the variables and the classes for date objects. So we import that module like this, import datetime. There are several other modules that we'll look at later down the line, but what we need for dates is the datetime module. If we want to say we want to see the current date and time right now, and recall that in JavaScript, when we did JavaScript, we'll get the timestamp of our system. So my computer is set to Pacific Standard Time, and when I try to get the date time, I'm going to be getting the current time of my system. And so let's say I will do x is equal to, and so you get datetime.datetime.now. That's how you call the datetime. The now method gives you the current date. And so when I print x, I save and I run, I'm going to get the current date and time of my system. Now, my system is in Pacific Standard Time. I'm currently in Atlantic Standard Time Zone, but I get my time in Pacific Standard Time because that's the timestamp of my computer. If you want to get maybe just the year, just the month, just the day spelled out short form, there are different methods that we can use to do that, and we're going to look at that a little later. But now let's see how we can create or construct a date time using the date time constructor. And what we do is, let's say y is equal to, let's say I want to write my date of birth, then I'll say date.datetime, and I'll say the date is, let's say 1900, 5th of, let's say, June. So know that you don't put a 0 before the 5 and the 0 before the 6. So it is year, month, day. The date time constructor takes the value year, month, and day, like that. And when I want to print y, I'll clear and then run, and then you see that it sets this to 1900 May 6th. So year, month, day. It's very easy to confuse the position of month and day, but it's usually year, then month, and then day. Let's say we want to make this a readable string. We don't want it this way. We want a readable string. So I can print y, and then there is a method dot, let's say string f time, like this, and then %b. But if I put the b in uppercase like this, I'm going to be getting the months, the full version of the month. So let's try this. I want you to see how we can use different strings like this. So when I clear and I run, I'll be getting the month May printed out in full like this. If I wanted to have, let's say I want to print out the weekday in full version, I'll use capital A like this. I'll run, I'll have the day, Sunday, printed in uppercase like that. If I want to have it in short form, I'll use lowercase letter of a, and then when let me clear so you can see this, run, you will have sun, like that. So short form. So we'll have things like %a, upper or lowercase w. When you use w, we want a weekday as a number. So if I use w here, we'll get a weekday as a number rather than as the day spelled out. So we'll have a weekday as a number. 0 is Sunday. So we'll start from 0 to 6. 0 is Sunday, 6 is Saturday. So we have %h that gives you the hour. We have %i also that gives you the hour, but now it gives you like a 12-hour string. %h will give you 24 hours. So when you have things like 00 to 23, and then for the I you have 00 to 12, things like that. %s for second. So you can reset this to see what letter of the alphabet you use to convert all of this to readable strings in Python. So this is basically all about dates. All I want you to do is to look at documentations on the dates and the different values you can specify here to get the date in different strings. Now recall that you can actually have year, month, day, then hour, minute, second, and that's how it's always printed out. So you can always add the hour and the minute and the second for the datetime string. Year, month, day is the required. Let's say we want to say this happens at 12 30, 45 like this. I'll clear, and what I want to print is the Y, and then I'll run, and then I have it between 12, 30, 45. So it has to be year, month, day, hour, minute, second. And so those are the full values that it takes, where year, month, and day are the required values. So let's look at the different math module, the different methods and properties of the math module. When we want to use math in Python, we import the module math like this. So always use the import statement to import modules that holds functions and the code that you don't have to rewrite, but you can just use. Let's say we have x is equal to, let's say it's a list of 1 to 9, and let's say we want to get what is the minimum value of x, and we have y. So let's say we want to have z is equal to, we'll put min x, and then we'll see the minimum value there for x is going to be 1. When we run, we'll print z, and so we run, and then we'll get it 1 as a minimum. If we want to see the maximum, we'll print max of x, and then we'll get the maximum to be 9. The same thing for y. So we use the min and max method to see the minimum of something or the maximum of something, and this will come in handy in your development project. Let's say you want to automatically see who has the highest grade in the class. You use methods like min or max to calculate stuff. We have things like trying to get the absolute positive value, where you use methods like the ABS. Let's say z is equal to ABS, and let's say this is minus 3.14. It's just going to return 3.14 because we are looking for the absolute positive value. Because Python deals with a lot of scientific analysis and methods. Some of this you won't use them in regular software development, but there are knowledge you need to know to transition to data science and when you start doing data analysis. And so when I run this, I'm going to get 3.14 because the absolute positive value for minus 3.14 is 3.14. So we have some of the math constants that we can use. If we use something like math.square root like this, so let's say z is equal to math, so we're calling the math module dot square root, written like this, and let's say we want to get the square root of 81, for instance. So we're going to get 9 printed out because 9 is the square root of 81. So we have things like math.floor. When you do math.floor, and when you use math.floor, what this does is it rounds down to the nearest integer, and when you use math.ceil like this, it rounds up to the nearest integer. So I want you to research all of these different methods for maths. We're not going to go into deeper details, but these are the whole idea. So if you want to do things like tangents, math.tanh, and you get the hyperbolic tangent of a number. The same thing with radians. If you want to convert degree to radian, you can use math.radians like this. So different constants in maths module that you can use. So research and see methods and constants of the math module and how they are used. Know what exists. You might not apply a whole bunch of them. The thing you apply the most is using the min, the max, the ceil, the floor. Those will always apply to a lot of calculations that we are going to be doing when we develop our site. So this is where we end this lesson. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.